My mates just Snapchat me.
All right, everybody, welcome to the latest edition of the Gooner Daily Pod, the Arsenal football video cast here on the Sports Talk Line Network. I'm Raphael. I'm your American host with my English cohorts. Directly below me on your screen is Ryan. Welcome back, Ryan.
Hello, Raf. How you doing?
I am very well, especially after yesterday's match. And to Ryan's left is Sam. Welcome back, Sam. Wearing his lucky, was that 82 Arsenal?
Indeed.
82
Eight,
Arsenal.
81, 82. Can't
Charmed.
go wrong.
It's a charm top. It's one. They've won every time he's worn it, so he's not going to take it off till May. Lot to talk about. Obviously, yesterday another just solid win, 3-0 over Newcastle. Some key matches coming up. Transfer news, obviously, to discuss later on in the episode. Martin Odegaard, Emi Buendia, keeper. Who are they looking at? We'll review that with you. Talk about Southampton a little bit. And this is the beginning of a new stretch. The last Southampton match, you may remember, was the end of Arsenal's bad stretch. But let's begin. And again, this is because this is the last time we have to discuss this gentleman and this topic. Ryan, Mesut Ozil is no longer a member of Arsenal Football Club. He's now a member of Fenerbahce's club. A lot of bitter and a lot of sweet, all mixed together. Let's focus on the good. What do you remember about his time with the club?
I was saying to Sam the other day, we was having a little bit of a chat about how we felt about Ozil now. I said the way he made me feel about when I watched him live in person, like I don't think you quite get how good he was unless you've seen it in the flesh. He was just unbelievable. Like that 2015-16 season, if we had two more of him, we would have won the league at a canter. It would have been so easy for us. He was just phenomenal. And that's what I remember most of him, how he made me feel watching him. It was like, anytime he got the ball, I was off my seat. I was ready for something to happen.
Mm.
And I'll never forget the game against Ludogorets where he scored his first career hat-trick in the second half. And he did the Ozil chop goal for every goal. Yeah. Just some of the phenomenal performances. The 3-0 against Chelsea, the 3-0 against Man United, all these big performances I just remember. And I know the last couple months to a year really tarnished how some people feel about him, but for me, I'm just going to try and remember all the good performances and the excitement I felt on deadline day when he actually signed, and that's what I'm going to try and focus on more than the negative things.
Yeah, Sam, it's like coming to the end of a long relationship that you've been to a long time. Good times, bad times, and always at the end, it's, as I said, the bitter. What do you remember? What sticks out for you? And then we had a little time for it to kind of blow over and to digest the full of his career with Arsenal.
Yeah, it's as Ryan said, he's been phenomenal during his time here, but I think a lot of the time as well, you can argue that the side structures let him down. I've been very critical of him over the last couple of years, and things that have been said. It's difficult with him because the good times for me don't outweigh the bad times, and I just feel he's brought so much to this club in the initial, but then on the flip side of that, I think Ozil needs to really look at himself over the last couple of years, because he had the opportunity to be like an absolute legend at this club, one to really build around. And it seems that partly he's been let down by the transfer philosophy. Other times he's let himself down by essentially not doing what he should have been doing, and he's rumored to pick and choose when he played in away games. The mysterious back injury is what I've been told, that he's never had a back injury. That was again just made up to get him out of games. And for me, what he's done over the last year or so, if he really wanted to be a part of this team, he would have done his damn best to convince 3 managers that, look, I'm willing to adapt, I'm willing to change. But he hasn't. It seems to be it's Ozil's way or the highway, and it's disappointing. To say the most, it is extremely disappointing how it's ended, but it's a necessary end. I think the way that he's going about social media at the moment is a bit muggy. Technically, he's still under contract with us, although we all know that it is at the end of his time. But if he wants to say all this stuff about Fenerbahce, do it when the clubs have announced it. Don't do it beforehand. It's slightly disrespectful. I know people will say what we've done to him is disrespectful over the last year, keeping him out. But ultimately, there's a lot of stories that will come out about Mesut Ozil that will change a lot of people's minds, and he isn't the saint that people are making out to be. It's just a matter of time when they come out. Some have already come out questioning him already, so it will definitely be interesting.
All right, let's move on. Good news yesterday. Arsenal brought the first half of the season to an end. 3-0 win at home over Newcastle. They rose back up to 10th after that horrible stretch in October, November, where nothing worked. They couldn't score, couldn't get a break, fell to 15th, woke up one day finding themselves only 3 points out of relegation. Now they're 15 points clear. They're in 10th, and now they're only 2 points, gentlemen. I'll let you deal with this, Ryan. 2 points out of 7th. So they've given themselves an opportunity to get back into the neighborhood of the table where they want to be, where they expect to be. We were talking about this. We were having a watch along together yesterday, and those first 15 minutes, they didn't get the goal, but they seemed so confident and relaxed and cohesive in the attack. It's almost kind of bad luck that they didn't have a couple of goals.
Absolutely, and I solely put it down to having our first choice midfield, because we had Smith Rowe, we had Xhaka, and we had Partey. That you would say is our strongest midfield, and it really did show in the game. We absolutely dominated Newcastle. I don't think they had a shot on target in the first half, which says everything about.
Went about 60 minutes before they got a shot on goal. Yeah,
exactly. And the shield in front of the defense with Partey and Xhaka was absolutely phenomenal. Xhaka has been brilliant since he's been back from suspension. Partey has not looked like he's been out for 6 or 7 weeks. And having them two with a confident Smith Rowe, or Emil de Croydon, as I call him, he it's just great. It's just great watching our midfielders actually move. Like me and Sam have both said, it looked like Ceballos and Elneny hide behind attacking players so they don't receive the ball from David Luiz. You barely saw either centre back have the ball in that game. Partey took it off them. Xhaka come and took it off them, and then that's how we attacked quicker. Partey took 4 or 5 players out of the game for Aubameyang's goal. It's just that football simplified. It's not a complicated game when you play it that simple. So if we can keep those 3 together, I think we'll be higher in the table sooner rather than later.
And you brought up 3 critical names, and I'll bring them up again when we get to Southampton in a minute, because again, I went back last night and rewatched the last Southampton match, which was the end of the real dry run and we'll talk about the people who weren't there critically. But Sam, I'm going to give you a kind of a tip of the hat, because I know that nobody here, I'm going to hope they trust me when they said this, but you made the comment in our chat, or maybe it was Ryan. I don't want to steal it from the right person, but you said Thomas Partey makes this look so easy. Just seconds before he made that short run and just fed Aubameyang for his goal. You were also talking about how Arsenal shifted and kind of freed the left side of the pitch for them. Take us through that. And again, it was a goal that was overdue. Aubameyang had hit the post early. They were buzzing around, but as you said, simple football and just creating space for your playmakers to make their plays.
Yeah, in regards to the comment, it was Ryan that made that comment.
All right. Take your credit.
So in regards to moving of the players, it seems that with Thomas Partey in this midfield, you see how our midfield and defence and just generally the whole team shift up another 5 yards. And with that, it allows us to compress the space for the opposition, so that if they try to come at us, we're already there. We win the ball back high, and that we're able to definitely shift the ball to where we need it to be. Down the right-hand side, Smith Rowe links extremely well with Saka, and with that's through playing with him through the Howe End Academy. And you can see instantly with their movement, when one's got the ball, the other one instantly knows where he needs to go. If then you're adding in Thomas Partey as well, he never looks for a sideways pass. He's always looking to go forward and making a decisive pass. It isn't something that we've had with Ceballos, because again, Ceballos and El Neni, they're always sideward passing, and it really slows this team down. But where Partey comes in, we're looking to go forward. We're looking to drive at the opposition. That plays very well to Saka's game. It plays very well to Smith Rowe's game, Orba's game as well. It allows us to potentially go down one side, isolate the defender one-on-one. But if you look at Orba's goal, when we was defending, the right-hand side of our team dropped about 10 yards inside our half, our attack, and that really brought Newcastle's defence up. And with that, we had the long ball by Partey to isolate Orba on the left-hand side with Kraft, and the defender's never going to commit until he's in the box. And by that time, it's game over. Obviously, Orba had a couple of chances like that throughout the game beforehand, and unfortunately didn't hit the ball sweetly enough. But this is what he needed. I'm very happy for him to get this goal on his 300th. And, you know, it's something that Arteta has worked on, and you could see it's evident. And the culture of our attacking play and general play is now starting to form. Now, if we continue down this road, I saw Sky Sports today say that Chelsea's title rivals, they're 2 points ahead of us. So a couple more wins in a month, then we're really up there with everyone else, and we can really drive forward from here.
All right, Ryan, pardon my dogs, they're excited about the Arsenal's win too. But we know that before Partey came, when Partey was injured, when Xhaka was out, we talked about how the team overemphasized David Luiz because he was the one deep player who could release. You know, he was always looking, he would bring the ball forward on his own from the back line. He was looking to release to the wings, to the forwards in the middle of the pitch. But you know, what I saw yesterday, as you were saying, we know that Xhaka's game is not really carrying the ball, but he's really good at these long diagonals to quick releases. We know that Partey can move the ball. And then he also, as Sam just broke down, long release. Now you have three players. And I just kept thinking over and over again in that half how as you said, they would get the ball. One of the defenders would get the ball. Leno would get the ball. It was to Xhaka. It was to Partey. One touch, one quick pass, and boom, it was out. And it was in their half. It was in the opponent's half, and our attacking four had it, and they were gone. And I haven't seen this all year, and it just happened over and over. And it's just a numbers game. You know that if they do that, goals are going to come. It's been a problem with this team. It's just, and they talked about it. Smith Rowe talked about it. We're tight. We're together. Is this really? It's just down to repetitions, it seems.
It's down to confidence in who you're playing with. You notice with Xhaka, last night he didn't mind getting the ball and turning on it and passing forward. That's because he's got Partey next to him, and he knows Partey is that safety blanket if he loses the ball. Whereas if you've got Dani Ceballos next to you, you're not sure if he's going to be able to get back in time to make that tackle. So when you've got as Arteta said, with the aura and presence of just Thomas Partey in midfield, I'll bang that drum until it's broken. Just having Thomas Partey in the middle there solves so much issues with other players. Like he elevates everyone else. Xhaka, I've not seen Arsenal play out like that in a very long time. We was cutting through Newcastle in the middle of the pitch so easily. Like the ball went from T to Xhaka to the centre backs, back to Xhaka, through to Partey and Smith Rowe, and we was on the attack. And it was just, again, I'd say it's down to having the confidence in the players you're playing with.
All right, Sam, I'm going to pitch a topic you were discussing during the match. It's one of the darker ones. We're also optimistic. The kids are performing. You know, the spine is there. This is Arteta was building from the back out. They didn't even have Gabriel in there yesterday. It can get even better once they incorporate him back into that the backbone, if you will, that he's building. But with Saka taking another step forward, having another strong match, and we saw that when Mikel went to the bench again, it was Willian coming in. Now you got to ask the question. We posed it a couple of weeks ago. We just kind of whispered it, but now we got to bring it in the open. Where does Nico Pepe fit in all of this now? He seems to be a man who's just kind of lost in the. You can't. You want to put him in and give him reps, and people are saying give him reps, but you also don't want to disturb the movement. The club is working and they're moving up the table. What do you do?
It's a bit baffling with Pepe because there is a hell of a player in there. I think that he maybe hasn't settled as much as he would have liked yet. I said yesterday to you guys that I think that Pepe is the right signing, but at the wrong time, because you've got to think with Arsenal over the last 18 months or so, we've chopped and changed formations. We've played formations that haven't really suited Nico Pepe, and it's really hampered him. And also with Bellerin being behind him, Bellerin isn't catering to what Nico Pepe needs in terms of overlapping on the outside to draw the defender away. Because if you look at when Bellerin comes in, he drives up into the final third, but he always wants to cut inside and underlap. And essentially you're doing that, you're blocking off Pepe's route to goal. So you're not going to get the best out of him. Now, I'd really like to see Cedric get a run in the side, because obviously he was superb yesterday. And I feel he's more suited to what Nico needs. But ultimately, if Arteta doesn't view Pepe as being the number one or the number two, it's going to be difficult, because you can't justify having a 79 million player, no, 72 million player on the bench, not even getting onto the pitch. I know obviously we'll have a lot of games, but he really needs to start stepping up now and putting pressure on Arteta to be saying, look, I'm ready to produce, and to put the pressure on Saka and drive that competition. If somebody was to say to me now in the summer, if someone offered you 65 million for him, would you take it? I'd have to be inclined to say yes, because that can be put somewhere else into the side. That can improve multiple positions. And realistically, you've got to think as well, behind Pepe, you've still got people like Reece Nelson to come in. You've got Willian there. So we're fully stacked in the wing areas, and it's a dilemma, because again, you're going to have question marks over certain players that aren't playing week in, week out, or even getting into the squad. And it'll be really concerning if Nico starts getting dropped from the squads.
A reason to the question I'm going to bring to you, Ryan, and that's a culture. And we know that when Mikel took over the club a year ago, one of the first things he talked about was, I need to build a culture. I need to rebuild he talked about Arsenal as a family. And some of it was overt. Some of it was very subtle. This came out about the time, it was about a year ago, once play resumed after COVID, that Matteo Guendouzi had his kerfuffle in the Brighton match, put himself out of favor, kind of disappeared. Very eyebrow raising comment by the manager after the match, asked about Ainsley Maitland-Niles, and he said something about, to the extent, I'm hoping I quote him as well as I can, it's really down to him if he wants to play for the club. And very as Sam, where I were discussing this, very blunt, not subtle at all. It makes you wonder, is this a player? I mean, his head has been turned. Obviously, he's been connected to Wolves. Actually, Brighton came in for him at the end of the summer. Is he a player we need to watch as a possible outgoing that maybe we weren't talking about 2 weeks ago?
I'd say so, yeah. If Arteta's being that brutal about a player, but on the other hand, it could just be his man management, where some players need that kick up the arse to get things going again, and some players just need an arm around the shoulder. But that is very straight to the point if he wants to play for the club. Now, if he's not performing, which we saw against, who was it? Palace, that he just had an absolute stinker
on the wing. Yeah.
People on Twitter were saying it was Ainsley Maitland nightmare. That's how bad he was. So, I mean, if he's not performing in training, he's not doing it in the games, then I would be inclined to say, well, if we can get 20, 25 million or include him in a sub deal for a certain Brighton player, then perhaps just do that.
That's true. You can mention the certain Brighton player. We're in a podcast. We don't have to. We're covered by tampering rules. Certain Basuma gentleman. What's his name? I forget. You're gonna zip it, Brian?
Yeah, that guy.
A defensive mid who plays for Brighton. Let's put it that way. We know though that he's got value, right? We can keep with that. Whether he stays or he goes. I mean, they know they have an asset in Ainsley Maitland-Niles. He, as you said, he may be needing some tough love from the manager, and that's what we're seeing. But that really got my attention. Let's see here. But moving on, let's turn our attention, Sam, to the transfer window, because with Ozil out, with Kolasinac out, and possibly Mustafi seems to have cooled. The managers may seem to be hedging on him, but Socrates looks like he could be going out in the next, certainly by the end of the window. Some room now, some salary out, some room now. I don't see any big money buys being available right now, but some intriguing loan options. Emi Buendia, I mentioned him at the top of the show. His name has come back, the Norwich forward. And then this afternoon, word from Spain that Martin Odegaard, the Danish attacking mid, so coveted, not getting playing time in Real, wants to go on loan. And news out of Spain is that Real will grant him that wish. Is he a guy you might look at, even if you can't get him on anything but a 6-month loan? Would he benefit this club, in your opinion?
Oh, absolutely. That guy has got something special about him. I'm at a loss as to what Real Madrid are playing at, because it seems their handling of young stars essentially is frankly diabolical. I think that if he was to come in as competition for them 6 months for Emil Smith Rowe, that will drive Smith Rowe onto another level. And it will give us something different in terms of the attacking midfielder. I think that he could probably play a bit deeper as well, although you're losing some of his attributes, but it gives us flexibility as well. And he is someone I've admired for years, since he burst on the scene, basically. And yeah, you just have to look how he played when he was on loan. He was superb.
Another position, I guess you can put your 2 cents in on Odegaard too. I mean, we don't have to limit it, Ryan, but I want you to address the keeper position, because again, quiet right now, but still almost 2 full weeks. We know Arsenal have to get a keeper, even again, if it's on loan. They cannot go to the end of the season with only Leno as a viable option in the between the posts.
No, and I would hope that the Edu and Arteta can see that Leno is literally the only goalkeeper we can play at the moment. Runderson has lost all confidence. We saw that against City. He was at fault for pretty much nearly every goal. So Freddie Woodman, who's on loan at Swansea from Newcastle, he been linked by Chris Wheatley this week. He's a very, very good option. He won I think it was the under-17s World Cup with England. He was the goalkeeper, saved quite a few penalties and penalty shootouts. He's homegrown, which helps. So if we loaned out Runnison and brought in Freddie Woodman, we'd have an extra non-homegrown spot available to us for a Buendia, Odegaard, or Bissouma. There's been other goalkeepers linked, Neto from Barcelona, but I don't think that's going to happen in this window. If we're going to sign him, it'll probably be in the summer. But I'm not sure why you'd want to swap Barcelona's bench for Arsenal's bench when you can watch Messi every week. So I don't know about that. Although you could watch Smith Rowe, so they're about the
catch
same.
Him on the up, right?
Yeah, they're about the same level at the moment. So I think the wise option would be probably Freddie Woodman. I'm not sure if this is correct, but I did read that his dad is an under-23s coach at Arsenal.
Yep,
so,
goalkeeping coach.
Thank you, Sam. There's a connection there already, so cheap option. He's been unbelievable for Swansea this season already, so I'd go for him.
And I think Sam was telling me Swansea just obtained a keeper, did they not, the last day or so?
They signed Ben Hamer from Huddersfield, I believe.
Okay, so that might add a little more smoke to a possible fire there. Match coming up, actually 2 matches coming up. Well, we don't know. I got ahead of myself. We know the next Prem match is against Southampton. In between that match is an FA Cup match, and it may also be with Southampton if they win their tie with Shrewsbury today. I don't know what the score is right now. I'm assuming they're playing as we speak. But if Southampton come through, Arsenal is looking at 2 consecutive matches at St. Mary's, a ground where they have not played well in recent years. Sam, I'm going to bring this to you. I mean, that would be a little concerning, but I'll say this. I went back and I rewatched extended highlights from Arsenal's match against Southampton, where they played at the Emirates the beginning of December. And that was the end of that awful run where they just weren't getting points. They were getting draws, lots of losses, couldn't score goals. They were in the 3-4-3. They were getting red cards seemingly every match. Different world from that team. The team that played that day got a 1-1 draw, and the one we've been watching for the last 5 matches. First off, we start with the lineup. I mean, Ryan went through extensively of the spine. That day when they played, they had Holding, and they had Gabriel as the center backs, but in front of them, it was El Neni and Ceballos. And then in the midfield 3 had Joe Willock as the 10. Saka on the left, Pepe on the right, and Aubameyang. I think that was his last match that he played as the central striker, something we all cried out for. We all figured out it didn't work. It was the next match where the big boys came in, the guys who've been really helping this team. Lacazette up atop, Smith Rowe in the center of the midfield, and then Xhaka back in the drop two and the deeper two, and then now with Partey. Different world now for Mikel Arteta. Same club they're facing, but he's facing them with a very different squad now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in that game, when we previously played Southampton, we didn't really have much control over the game. We was trying to catch them on the counter, if I remember correctly. I think with the players that we've got in now, and also we've got a settled formation, which obviously helps massively. We've got a relatively settled team now that knows where everyone's going to be at a certain moment in time. It allows us to completely control the game. And over the last couple of games, we've really rediscovered how to dominate games, and that's something that we've really lacked over the last couple of months, to be perfectly honest. It seems that Walcott's comments of Arsenal playing with fear, I believe that's going to come back to haunt him with that. I think that I personally don't think we've got much to worry about from Southampton. Obviously, we got caught cold with his goal first in the first half. I think that in the previous Southampton game, we was unlucky in certain situations with Rob Holding hitting the bar at the end. It's a case back then we didn't have the luck. I think things are starting to click for us now. Obviously, Saka, Smith Rowe, Lacazette have been a big part of that. I think with Partey coming back, that gives us another massive option. So, I just think that we've got more than enough to control and counter this Southampton team. And you've also got to put into the mix that Southampton haven't had the best run of results recently. I think they've only had one win in the last 5.
Last 6, I believe. Yeah. Not good. They upset Liverpool at Anfield, but other than that, they really haven't produced results. So, hope they're stargazing. Ryan, I'm going to ask you a question that you posed to our viewing group yesterday when the game was winding down. I'll let you both have a kick at this. It's very simple. Is Arsenal back, in your opinion?
Is Arsenal back? Not yet. I would say give it a transfer window, or maybe 2 transfer windows, and we'll start seeing the squad and starting 11 that Arteta wants. Because you're seeing it now. I saw on Twitter that yesterday that the squad from the 2014 FA Cup win are all gone. There's none of them left at the club. So the overhaul is churning. I think as soon as Arteta gets the extra 2, 3, or 4 players that he wants to fit into his starting 11, Arsenal will be back.
How close? Let me twist that question. How close, Sam, is Arsenal to being back? What do they need till we can comfortably say that?
I'd say we're only really on the start of the recovery. What we need to get Arsenal well and truly back is probably another striker. I'll say what we need to come in, because obviously people can deduce what they want from it, but there's going to be certain positions that are going to be vacated by certain players. We're going to need a striker, we're going to need a left winger, we're going to need a backup left back, probably 2 centre midfielders, a right centre back, a right back, a backup goalkeeper. So that's the majority of the squad, unfortunately. So right now, I don't want to say Arsenal's back, but Arsenal are on the right steps of recovery.
Okay, so tap the brakes a little bit. All right, let's move off the pitch. Let's talk about something that all of you Arsenal fans should be watching. I'm waiting to carve a little space on my schedule to watch it. But these 2 gentlemen have both watched the Hector Bellerin documentary. Hector is now a producer, in addition to being a fashion maven and the right back for Arsenal Football Club. He's also a video producer, and started with, as what they always tell you. You know, I teach script writing classes. They always tell you, start with what you know. And he started with something he knew very well. He covered multi-part series he released on YouTube covering his rehab from his knee surgery. Ryan, put your movie critic hat on, your TV critic hat on. What'd you think?
Sorry, Raf, what did you say? You broke up a little bit there.
I was saying you put your TV critic hat on. What did you think of Hector's series that was released on YouTube? This dropped on YouTube this last week.
I think it was brilliant. It just gave so much insight into what these football players actually go through when they're injured, not just physically but mentally as well. It can be very, very lonely place being injured doing rehab, and it really showed me how important Rob Holding and Kieran Tierney were to Hector's recovery. And it also opened my eyes to how long it does take to get back to your absolute best. And the professionals, they said in a documentary that it takes a year after you've recovered to actually be back to your full tilt. And Hector's just about coming into that, I think. And hopefully Hector starts performing how we know he can.
Okay. Sam, you've had a chance to see all of it. What can you add? I mean, thumbs up or thumbs down? Should we all go run out and watch this as soon as we can?
Absolutely. It gives you a real insight as to what a footballer has to endure after the injury. So you have the injury, the initial first couple of weeks of the post-injury, the surgery, the rehabilitation is long and arduous, and the amount of work that has to go into that recovery as well. People that suffered from ACLs, as both you two will testify to as well, it's a long old process, and to come back to that from a professional standpoint, it's outstanding the amount of hardship, not only physically that they have to put in, but also mentally. And it really gives you a real good insight as to how hard our physios, our personal liaisons, our rehabilitation staff have to put in, and they really put the minutes in, and the physios really look after the players all the way through. The Arsenal doctor, Gary O'Driscoll, was very prominent in this documentary, following Hector all over the globe for his rehabilitation as well, making sure that he's right, checking in on him on a daily, weekly basis. Likewise with a couple of physios there as well. Hector actually took one of the physios on holiday with him to when he went to Greece. So again, he could continue the rehabilitation there. And you know, it's absolutely superb. And I hope and wish a lot more footballers would make stuff like this, because it gives you a real insight. And if you want to take a look at football away from football, something like this is a really big insight, and it's brilliant.
All right, so gentlemen, I mean, you can add your point, but Ryan, it does make it sound like, you know, we talk about players being mercenaries; they're in it for the money. You know, there's no loyalty. It's your agents run this, agent run that. From what I'm hearing, though, and not just from YouTube, but from others who've talked about this, it makes it sound like he really felt supported by the club, and that's so important now when we're talking about building culture and getting them, keeping players and building that family that Mikel talks about.
Yeah, and I think a prominent point in the documentary, I can't remember what episode it was, but it's when he came back to Coney. When he came back to the training ground and he's like, I'm back home. This is where I feel most comfortable. This is my club, kind of thing. And it kind of like, I was on the fence with Hector. I didn't know whether I wanted him sold, if I wanted to keep him. I wasn't fussed either way. But then that really opened my eyes to him as how much he loves the club. And I think he loves the club as much as we do. And you can't say that for many players. and he gets it. He gets what the fans want, what the fans want to see from the players. And when he came back against Nottingham Forest, and he said that he heard the ovation he got when he came back on the pitch, he's like, he's never felt anything like it. And I think we need more players with the heart of that he does, the heart that he shows when he talks about the club, when he talks about certain people at the club, and when he was talking about the FA Cup win for Mikel Arteta, and it's very prominent and very heartwarming. I'd say it's very heartwarming to see a player actually care so much as he does.
All right, let's snap. We're in injury time here, as we say in the last few minutes of the pod. Snap reaction. Does it really matter who they face in the next FA Cup, Sam? Whether they have to go to St. Mary's, or they have to go to Shrewsbury? The club's tight right now.
Yeah, I don't think it does. Obviously, if Shrewsbury can pull off an upset, we could potentially send out a weakened team, because I'm not being funny. Even our second string stronger than Southampton's second string, seemingly what they've put out today. But if it's Southampton, I'm not stressed about it. I'm not worrying about it. Got more than enough.
Do you make major changes? Do you still go with the weaker side? Again, we've got a pretty strong bench now. When you have guys like Nicolas Pepe, Joe Willock, Reece Nelson, people like that caliber on your bench, Cedric, it's going to be competitive no matter who he puts out at this point.
Yeah,
Arsenal.
I think with that, I'd probably give Saka a rest, because he's looking a bit on the jaded side. Give him a rest and give Pepe a chance on that wing, and also put Cedric in behind him. See how them two link up. But other than that, I wouldn't make too many changes, to be honest.
Ryan, are you fussed about this? They should be able to get a result, I would think. I think the trickier question for me is if you have to do Southampton 2 in a row, does that change how you approach the matches?
For me, I think I'd prefer Southampton, because you know what the FA Cup is like. You know, the smaller teams always want to be the hero of the cup, of the round. And Shrewsbury's pitch is disgraceful. Sure. It's not very nice there. The pitch is bobbly, and we haven't got the type of player to.
I just can't get hurt on that, right? The risk.
Yeah, so I'd rather go to Southampton. Yeah, I'd rather go to Southampton knowing the pitch is in good shape. You can stay there for an extra few days, because I think we play them on Tuesday. I'd rather just do that. Just, and I think in the first game, you don't really have to make many changes. Maybe keep the back line as it is. Maybe with the exception of Tierney, play a different left back. Midfield, I'll just go with Ceballos, Elneny, Willock, and then Martinelli, Pepe on the wings with Eddie through the middle. And then obviously you play your strongest 11 in the Premier League. Like, it shouldn't really matter how we set up. They should all be playing exactly the same way. So that's what I would do.
Well, we look for more good results, right? Five in a row. Haven't lost in 2021. It's off to a good start. 13 of 15 points, 4 consecutive clean sheets. Gentlemen, no surprises. I guess that's the theme for the next week. Sam, you have anything to add? Anything to say? Wrap it up.
Yeah, I just think that
pull a transfer rabbit out of the hat. What do you want?
Yeah, I think that we're going to start hearing a bit more about incomings now, because obviously the wages that we're saving, which is around probably about $450 a week, coming off the books, it's something that's going to be hugely beneficial. And even if we're able to get a bigger named loan, it enables us to spend more on wages. So should hear more about that. Hear a lot less about Mesut now. That's now over. So goodbye. Thanks for the memories, but time to say goodbye, as the infamous banner says.
All right. On that note, I mean, let's start happy. People were being happy. Mesut was sending happy messages. He said goodbye. Everything was cordial. I guess we'll just be we'll keep that and just focus on the club. Club's in a good place. Thank you all for joining us here on the pod. Come back and see us next Tuesday. Hopefully we have 2 results to discuss, or actually we'll have maybe the second Southampton match playing. We might wrap this around that. But anyway, to all of you, thank you again. For Sam, for Ryan, I'm Raphael. We bid you all a good night.